not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tyrone Lowe. The show is called The Legends. I want to thank everybody all over the world that subscribes to my show. In the House of the Legends, I have my co-host, Jose Rivera, is in the house, and he's going to introduce our guest, which is actually two New York Civil Court judges.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us once again on the show. Extremities Entertainment, everyone that tunes in to the Legend Show worldwide, it's been a great honor. Today we have a surprise for the world, Tyrone. We have
Most definitely.
two honorable men that are legends themselves. That's why, they're here today. So we would like to have the honor and pleasure of introducing two New York City Civil Court judges. Ladies and gentlemen, first we have the Honorable Orellana Rodriquez, as well as Joaquin Orellana.
Welcome to the Legends.
My pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen.
So
for
what
having us
I
on.
want to start it off with, what inspired you guys to pursue a career in law and eventually become a judge?
You want to start, sir?
Yeah, actually, the way I grew up.
Okay.
I grew up in the projects.
Right.
I'm from John Adams houses,
Okay.
and at the time, the 70s and 80s, it was a very different era. Dealing with a lot of blackouts and a lot of crime and stuff like that. And I felt like, especially being in the South Bronx, I felt like for the most part we were ignored. And that really put a flame inside me. And then as I got older, and I went to college and I got to see more of how other people grew up. I mean, it really motivated me to want to, do something for my community, because I felt that, especially the South Bronx, especially the way the Bronx was being treated, the South Bronx. I mean, things would happen when I grew up, and it would take, I don't even know how much time for the cops to respond, especially in the projects. They never came around. We would have blackouts back then, and I always felt like we were like the last ones to get our power back. Why is that? Is it because it was a community of black and brown people? But in any event, I don't want to get too political, but it just made me want to pursue justice. So originally, my mindset was to be a cop.
Oh, okay.
And give some fair law enforcement. Someone of where I come from my background, going back to my community, and having that proper law enforcement.
So it was a source of power to the cause that you
Right.
actually wanted to actually influence and actually serve. In
Right.
a sense.
But oddly enough, I didn't get in.
Oh, wow.
So God has God is great.
Almost
God,
definitely.
God is God has definitely blessed my path, and I wish I could take any credit, but it's not me, it's God. And God closed that door on the whole cop thing and said, no, you need to go a little further. And so I ended up going into law school, and then going out into private practice before getting into
Right.
the court system. I had a very good judge, Judge Bahati Pitt. She became my mentor,
Okay.
and she kind of showed me the ropes on how to take the next step. Because in reality, we don't know.
Right.
We don't know. We think it's a dream. I thought it was a dream.
Okay.
And now I'm sitting on that bench, and I want to make sure that people see that, hey, it's possible.
Right.
Look at me.
Yeah.
That's us. We can do it.
Right.
but you have to have the motivation and the discipline more than anything. So that's really what got me into it. Just you know, my surroundings, the way I grew up, and all the things that I felt were unfair and unjust in my community.
Right. Judge Elazar, what inspired you to pursue a career in law and motivated you to become a judge?
Well, I share some of the same words as my senior judge here does. I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And we grew up very poor. And I was the voice for most of my neighbors and my parents. I would go to them to the welfare office. I would be the translator. And that gave me a sense of belonging, a sense that I was doing something significant. I was speaking for others.
Right.
Ever since I can remember, I wanted to be a lawyer. But life has a way of redirecting you in different directions.
Most definitely, yes.
I didn't know how to get there. I wanted to go to high school, college. My parents got married when they were very young, and they couldn't properly prepare me for adult life. They couldn't tell me what jobs to go after because they didn't know. So I went into the military when I was 17 years old.
Right.
My background was such that I really didn't have a lot of confidence in myself. I didn't really know who I was or what I was capable of doing. But when I was in the military and I went through basic training, I realized that I was faster than most of my soldier mates. I was stronger, and that gave me a sense of that I was more than I thought I was based on my background. And then when I finished with the Army, I did some recruiting for them, and then I got accepted into Kansas State University. Okay. I was a little older than most of the students that were there, but I started running for political offices while I was there, and I found the voice. I found that I was much better, much stronger than my upbringing told me I was. And then I started picking up again the passion for law. From Kansas State University, I went to Harvard University on a special program, and I got a certificate in public policy analysis and management. I then served as an internship for the Department of Sanitation. They had a new initiative recycling program. Okay. And I was hired to promote the recycling program. In fact, I coined the phrase for recycling in Spanish, reciclar. So I became a leader in that field. Again, I felt a sense of empowerment. And then one day I woke up and I said, I missed that dream, that the inner child in me came out and said, you want to be a lawyer. And then from the Department of Sanitation, I applied to law school. Now I had a better sense of what being a lawyer was, or the path to get there. I encourage all our youth that are interested. There is a path to get to law school that they really need to start checking out when they're in high school.
Right. What's a typical day like in court for you guys, Judge Rodriguez? You can answer that question first.
I will tell you that I'm a rookie judge. I was elected in November of 2024. Okay. In fact, my senior judge here is one of my mentors. I always go to him because I want to make sure that I get things right. I get up at 5:30 every morning. And if I have a calendar, I go for my calendar. Okay. I want to know what the case is about. I do not like being unprepared, just like I don't like attorneys that come before me who are unprepared. I like to know what the issues are. And if I have questions, I write them down, and I'll seek assistance from my senior judges. Go through my case, and when I'm done, honestly, I look forward to the next day, repeating that process, because I'm so in love with the judicial process, because I believe that my background lends itself. I'm uniquely qualified, as I like to say, to be a judge. I served over 10 years as a high manager. I've been involved with my community board for over 11 years. I serve on several nonprofits. So I bring a lot of different aspects to the court. And plus, I know the issues of the Bronx. I know what the needs are of my neighbors. I bring all that to the court. And I like to say that I administer what I call my special brand of justice, where I want every person that comes before me to feel like I am hearing their story. You apply the facts to the law, there's some discretion, but I want people to feel like they had their day in court, because after all, where we work, it's the people's court. Right.
Okay. Well, for me, I usually wake up around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I like to go to LA Fitness, to my gym. I usually go with my partner, and We'll go and have a little workout, and then come back home. Have a protein shake for breakfast.
Okay.
And then just head straight to the courthouse and try to be on the bench by 9:30. We have to be on the bench at 9:30.
Right.
And then comes the process of hearing cases. I like to before I take
Now
the
he's
bench.
tough. I'm telling you, he's tough.
Okay.
He is tough. I've seen him in action, so I know.
Well. Thank you, Alan.
He said, calm down.
Yeah, okay.
You better come prepared when you go before him.
Okay.
I may be a little bit tough, but I'm not mean. Okay?
No, he's not mean. He's not
But
mean.
I just, I like to, always, when I wake up, before anything, I like to thank God.
Amen.
Definitely,
for
amen.
waking us up.
Hallelujah.
I mean, God has to be the center of our lives. And I know that I wouldn't be here without God. I mean, I wouldn't be here before you as a judge
Right.
without God. So I like to thank God and also ask God that, He helped me out throughout the day and give me the wisdom and the judgment and the patience to deal with these cases. One thing is to know the law. The other thing is to use your wisdom,
Right.
right? And we gain a lot of wisdom through our experiences. So there may be cases that'll appear before us, and I like to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to tell me their side of the story,
Right.
right? Sometimes they have a case, sometimes they don't. And I'll try to be gentle with them if they don't have a case. But I'll listen to them and, and I try to, communicate with them because communication is always at the crux
that's actually the
of
key.
all
Sure.
these
Yeah.
cases.
Right.
Okay. And, and I'll let them know, well, look, this is what's going on.
Right.
We can go forward or not, but, and then usually at the end of the day, we usually, again, I like to thank God again.
Right.
And, before heading home. So, we just have to be very grateful
Right.
for where we are. I mean, even walking, breathing, I mean, all these gifts that
Right.
we have. So,
And then in between, at some point, we have to sit down and start drafting decisions based on the cases that we heard that day.
But before you even say that, I mean, how do you guys come up with a conscious decision of fairness to the client or the defendant, or the people that's actually being apprehended and things of that nature?
well, first and foremost, right, whenever you bring a case in civil court,
Right.
you have to have some sort of cognizable claim,
Okay.
as we say. Most of the stuff that we deal with deals with contracts,
Okay.
right? And, a breach of said contract, right? And sometimes, like I'll start off and I'll ask, well, plaintiff, you're suing a defendant for a breach of contract. What was the agreement,
Right.
right? And I want to get to know that. Sometimes it wasn't even an agreement. It was a promise. I had this one case where these two individuals, they had lost somebody, and they were at a funeral, and the girlfriend tells the sister, I'm going to help you with some of the funeral expenses,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she never did. So
Okay.
the sister brings her into court. So, and as I'm going through the case and I'm hearing both sides and I'm listening to them, I realize that this is all about the pain of the loss of the brother, boyfriend. And I told the sister, like, look, contracts require something called consideration. Okay, you can negotiate for something, right? But there has to be something there.
Right.
The fact that she said, hey, in passing, I'll help you out with this,
Right.
and she didn't get anything in return, means that there wasn't a contract. It was
Right.
just, whatever. But, I told her, look, what's clear here is that this person was very special, that you're both here and you're both hurting over this individual. So, I told her, look, I'm gonna have to dismiss your claim because you don't have a breach of contract claim.
Right.
But
right.
So then at the same time, they both got up, they're crying, and they hug each other, and the girlfriend goes, "Okay, I'm gonna help you," and I'm like, "You gotta
Oh,
be
wow.
kidding me!"
So
I'm
they
like,
wasted your
you know,
time, actually.
right? So I'm like, "All right, whatever." But so I ended up dismissing the case. But
Right.
there's a very human component behind it.
Right.
And of course, we take our experiences with us. With these cases.
Sometimes just by hearing each side tell their story,
Right.
when they walk away, they may come up with their own arrangement to fix whatever it is they initially had an issue with.
So it's fair to say that you instill and ensure the fairness and impartial in your courtrooms, right?
Must.
Especially when it comes to emotional and personal conflicts, like you just mentioned. It's not every day that you're going to hear something about a construction site or a house or a contractor. You're going to hear stories like this, real life stories that people don't see on Law and Order, right? And speak about the CSI effect. I'm pretty sure you have that come into your courtroom where people watch TV and they're like, all right, I'm gonna go into court and I'm gonna sue you for $100,000, and people don't know the $1 effect.
Right.
Could you guys speak a little to that?
Right. Well, I mean, I can tell you as someone that's been there just a year more than Eliezer, as a judge, everyone is always claiming emotional distress.
Okay.
But they don't realize that there's a
The
component.
most common factor.
Right. Well, this person, didn't clean my shirt right, and I suffered emotional distress over it. Well, that's not really how it works, and you try to explain it to them. But I think ultimately, if the best way to ensure fairness is, one, you have to check all your biases at the door. Check all your prejudices, check all your political beliefs and all that stuff, and just that goes out the window.
Right.
We are supposed to be fair arbitrators, and we're supposed to apply the law the way we see it, And part of it is also making the determinations, what we say credibility determinations, right? Kind of like that old experience. I know who's lying to me and I know who's not lying to me, right? Like, yeah, right. So, but, and then we try to fit in whatever they can prove into whatever the claim is, right? So, and so that's the best way to do it. Sometimes, I've had cases where, the plaintiff will come in, and usually we call them the pissed off plaintiff, right? They're mad about something.
Of course.
And, the plaintiff will come in and starts, like yelling. And I said, oh, easy, brother, easy. Just calm down, right? And, just tell me the story. What happened, right? And, your personal biases may say, this guy is something else. I don't want to give him anything. But you got to check it. You got to say, no, we got to hear this guy out. I don't care if he came in yelling and, cursing. You got to calm him down and just go ahead. Let's proceed.
Judge Rodriguez. I'm sorry, Judge.
Go ahead.
Judge Rodriguez. Speaking to what Judge Orellana was just speaking about, have you ever found yourself in a situation where the penal law says this is the guidelines, but you found yourself wanting to side with a certain victim or a plaintiff?
Well, I rely a lot also on my gut. Okay. I think credibility is important. Right. When you come to me, you have to be credible, but you also have to bring evidence besides your credibility. There has to be a connection there, and I do try to be very fair.
Right.
And I think my approach gives each person that appears before me a feeling that I am honestly interested in their story. And then when I make a decision, I make that decision based on what I hear from both sides and what the facts are, and apply it to the law. Right. We do have some discretion, and I try to exercise that when I can, but a wrongdoing is a wrongdoing.
Right.
And sometimes you just have to take the time to explain to them that when you come, you have to come prepared not just with what you're saying, but if you can come with some evidence to back up what you're saying, makes your case stronger, and makes it easier for the judge to be able to make a decision.
Right.
If there's too many gaps, obviously your story is not strong enough and you're not going to prevail.
Okay.
How much credibility is given to the people that can articulate versus the people who are not at the education level where they can express themselves in a manner that, you know, the law can be on their side?
Well, for me, that's not a factor. Credibility is about believability.
Okay.
Okay.
Right? So I just love using examples, but I had this one case where, you know, these defendants were being sued by a real estate agent, right? And, you know, it was over a percentage that the real estate agent wasn't paid, right? And they had signed a contract, right? And it was three defendants. And one of the defendants said that the other defendant never signed the contract. Now, it was electronically signed and there was a timestamp. So they all signed it at the same time. So I looked at it and I said, well, then who signed it? And she tells me, the defendant tells me, I don't know.
Really?
And so I told her, ma'am, you realize you're under oath, right?
Oh, wow.
And so she said, but I don't know. I said, See, that's credibility right there.
Right.
So obviously I found her completely incredible. And the thing about credibility, the law says that if they lie about one little thing, they can lie about everything. So I don't have to believe anything else that they say as soon as I catch them. So be honest.
Yeah.
Even if you think it's going to hurt you, just be honest.
And come prepared.
Yeah. My question is, how do community issues like poverty, race, and mental health affect what you see in the courtroom?
Well, I take all that into consideration.
Okay.
It doesn't mean because you're poor or other issues that you're going to prevail. But I will take my time to listen more, and I'll ask questions.
Okay.
A lot of people that come before the court are self-represented litigants. They're not attorneys, and they want to tell you their story. They want to tell you what time they got up in the morning, what time, the decision process of what clothes to wear, the difficulty they had in finding a parking spot. See, some of that stuff you have to cut through all that, and you have to sometimes say, okay, let me just guide you. This is what I need you to tell me. And then you got to start talking about what are the issues of the case to guide them, because behind them you may have another 40 people waiting to tell their story, and you need to be fair with all of them. But because I have a good sense of the Bronx based on the different organizations that I'm a part of, I'm a board member for the Castle YMCA, and I do that why? Because our youth and seniors are worth it. I was involved in the community board because I want to know what the issues are. I was the eyes and ears of the borough president. I want to know the temperature of my neighbors. My favorite command is love thy neighbor. So I have to make sure that I give each person a chance to express themselves. And I hear them. You know, they may not use the words that I'm accustomed to, but I know what those words mean. I know what they're trying to say. And that's where my faith and my sense of fairness and justice kicks in. And I take all that into consideration before I make a decision.
Judge, I'm just going to say one word, Roberto Clemente.
Well, that's one mighty, those are mighty set of words. I am the founder of Project Club Clemente.
Okay.
In fact, I will credit my experience with the working the Clemente Project for the person I am today. January 1st of 1994 was a big year for me. I woke up from a recurring dream, and it sort of guided me into doing research about Roberto Clemente. I've since done so much for Roberto Clemente. In fact, my work, I believe, although I'm not out there trying to promote myself like I should perhaps, but I give myself credit for some of the things that Major League Baseball has done to promote his legacy. When I started my work, initially I thought it was to convince Major League Baseball to name the 3,000 hit club after Roberto Clemente. Clemente is the only ball player with exactly 3,000 hits. It just so happened that was his last regular season at bat. Right. He died on December 31st, 1972, while attempting to deliver aid to the earthquake victims of Nicaragua.
Right.
That earthquake killed 14,000 people and left hundreds of thousands homeless or hurt. Well, that day, baseball lost a star. America lost a hero. The world lost a great humanitarian. In Puerto Rico, we lost a native son. He was 38 years old. They never found his body.
Wow.
Well, 33 years later, on December 31st, 2005, I took out a loan. I used my house as collateral. And this is something you won't hear in the recent Clemente documentary, so I'm glad you asked. It gives me a chance to supplement the documentary. I chartered an airplane, from Puerto Rico, and I filled it with the aid that totaled the weight that Clemente was taking when his plane went down, and his son went with me. And on December 31st, we delivered the aid he promised to Nicaragua. The plane landed before midnight in Nicaragua on December 31st, 2005, 33 years after his passing, and we fulfilled his last promise. I like to say, promesa cumplida. So, anyone watching, listening, I want you to know that Roberto Clemente's last humanitarian mission was completed by a Bronx-based organization. Wow. You asked, I answered.
Okay. We have time for one more question. Jose, I'll let you do that.
Judge Orellana, being the mentor to such a person that has accomplished so much, right, on a grandstand level, what does that do for you personally?
Well, I don't consider myself a mentor. I always have my doors open. I'm willing to help out anybody that comes in. I mean, Judge Eliezer is a phenomenal human being.
That's good. We're going to sidebar.
He's a phenomenal human being, and the thing is that when it comes to these cases, sometimes there's a little complexity, right, that can only be resolved through discussion with your colleagues. So he'll come in and we'll discuss it, and sometimes I'll pick his brain too, right?
Right.
So but that's what we have to do, because we don't know it all. Only God does.
Right.
Right.
That's true.
So but I am blessed and honored to have Eliezer as my friend, and as my brother judge, as we say. And this is an amazing human being, and obviously what he did with Clemente. I mean I don't.
But the one thing is for sure is that we want to do the right thing.
Right.
We're guided by that. We're both men of faith. And we just want to make sure that when someone leaves the courtroom, they feel like they had their day in court.
Right.
And I love the fact that, you guys emphasize today is Saturday, right? It's a holy day. And on the courthouse, it says, in God we trust.
Indeed.
God we trust, yes.
Well, I want to thank you guys for being on the show. Jose, thank you, man.
As always.
And
Mr. Lowe, it's been a pleasure.
And thank you for having us. Absolutely.
And to the viewers, being so informative to the fact that the law is the law, But this has been another T-Love video production, and you guys stay tuned for another episode. I want to thank you guys. Thank you.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
Kids!
I don't want to talk about it.
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 Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency.
Kids, you all right?